Good afternoon and welcome to our second Summer Food Club. Thank you for joining us on this wet afternoon. Today we will be joining Neil for chicken and chorizo paella and fruitful, and so I will hand you over.
Hello, thanks for joining us. Hopefully you can stick with us. We're doubling up today. We're doing two recipes at once because last time we just left you while things were simmering. So this time we're going to fill in the blanks with a bit of pudding. So I'm going to introduce Russ, who's behind the camera today, and he's going to sort of fill in any silent pauses that may happen. So you should have the recipes and the ingredients, everything you need. So stick with me. I'll try and go as slowly as possible. But I'm a bloke and I'm not great at multitasking, so bear with me. So we're going to start off just by getting a bit of the dessert ready. So in a pan, I've put 200 grams of soft fruit. Now these are frozen and your berries are frozen as well. And actually, I don't know if you can see, there's quite a bit of liquid that's come out of them. The recipe says add a couple of teaspoons of water. That will just stop the fruit burning on the heat. But because it's frozen, I don't think you need it. If it starts to catch and look like it's drying, just put a couple of teaspoons of water in that. So that's it, 200 grams of fruit. I'm just going to put that on the hob and we're going to cook that for a few minutes, okay? And while that's happening, I'm going to get on with the paella. So I've got a big pan. It will hold about 3 litres of food in there. I'm going to add a tablespoon of oil. I've had it on here to warm up because my hot plate takes a little bit of time. It's a bit smoky, but stick with me. So health and safety stuff, damp tea towel or J-cloth underneath the chopping board. That just stops it moving around, especially the plastic ones, which can be quite slippy. So you've got your chicken thighs. I've cut off any excess fat that's on there. And I'm just going to cut it into chunks, bite-sized pieces. Don't have to be too particular. So they're going to go into the pan. That should be nice and hot now. And we just want this to seal and get a little coloured. So we're not going to cook it through. This is just going to cook for 2 to 3 minutes. So use a spatula or a wooden spoon just to keep it round. If your pan isn't very hot, there is a tendency for the chicken to stick. So having it good and hot is good. So just keep working it around and then give that a couple of minutes. I'm just going to wash my hands.
Yeah. Check on the fruit. Looking good.
And then turn it down.
Chicken's smelling good already too. You just, if I did my job as cameraman, you just see the fruit warming through nicely.
So you can see that it's bubbling.
Looking beautiful.
So you give it a couple more minutes. We just want it soft and pulpy so it mixes in with the cream and the custard nicely. So while that chicken has another minute or two, I'll start with the onion. So I'm going to cut the bottom and the top off, cut it in half, and then just peel that top layer off, get your nail underneath that. And we're then going to chop it up. This is all about rustic. It doesn't have to be too fancy or too fine. So I'm just going to cut that into 4, turn it round, cut it the other way. Do the same with the other half. So we've got some nice big chunks there to give the dish some texture. Right. That chicken is just sealing now. I'd like to give it another minute or so. Right, great. So, got the onion. What I'll do while that chicken just carries on sealing is I'll prepare the garlic. So I'm going to do exactly the same as the onions. Cut the top and tail off. Then maybe with a bigger knife, put it down on a flat surface, use the heel of your hand and just whack it. So the papery skin should just lift away. That's come off really nicely. Sometimes it puts up a bit of a fight.
Good trick, because I'm always faffing trying to peel it off.
Same again. I didn't whack it enough. You can use a wooden spoon the same way just to smash that up. And then this, we just want chop that finely, but don't worry too much. Keep the knuckles back to guide the knife and keep your fingertips out of the way. So as you cut down, you're not going to cut your fingers. So that's it. Right, that's all done. That bit. And so the chicken now is pretty much sealed. If I was doing this at home, I'd probably give it longer just to brown it, but we're up against the clock today. So I'll tip that onto a separate plate and just leave that for a while until we need it once we've got everything else in the pan. So let's have a quick look at that fruit. So that reduced down.
It's looking good.
Nice thick, and it smells jammy, and that's exactly what's happening. The sugars are concentrating, that water's evaporated out. So that's great. That's all we need to do. So that comes off the heat. Just leave that to cool until we come back to it in a little while. So chicken's fried. We're going to start building the paella. So another tablespoon of oil. Measure with a spoon if you want to. When you're as old as I am, you've done it enough times. You get the gist. So I'm going to pop the onion in and just give that a few minutes. No sizzle there. Our little hot plate is a bit slow, but we'll get there. So that just needs to soften and color slightly. And we're going to start putting lots more flavor in here now. So that's the onion. And once that's had a couple of minutes, you can add the chopped chorizo. And this, as it melts, or as it cooks rather, the fat starts to render out and it gives the dish a really lovely red color and lots of flavor. So the chorizo is flavored with paprika. We're going to add some more paprika and keep delivering lots more flavor. So it's beginning to sizzle. I'm willing it to cook faster. So that's going in. So that needs to cook for about 2 to 3 minutes to soften, and as I say, that fat to come out. So we'll get back to the veg preparation. So I've done the garlic. Next on the list are our peppers. We've got a couple of peppers. If you can, use different colors. It just makes the dish brighter, but it doesn't have to be. You can use whatever you've got. That's the beauty of this dish. You can really just adapt it to whatever's in the cupboard, whatever you fancy. We're using the chicken, but if it's veggie, you can just really build on the vegetables, courgettes, aubergines, peppers, anything you like. So I'm just cut the core out, and then I'm cutting it into strips. So that's probably cutting it into 3 or 4, and then each of those pieces into 2 or 3 pieces, just to create quite nice chunky pieces. Okay, not fancy. We're now getting a nice sizzling from the dish, the frying pan, which is good, encouraging. Nearly there. Right.
It's starting to smell gorgeous now. That
Yeah. So you can just see where the onions are starting to turn orange.
It's beautiful.
From the fat from that chorizo. So that's looking good. Right. Okay. So the onion's just beginning to look slightly translucent. So if you're at home, give it a little bit longer. I'm going to start by adding the peppers and the garlic now, just to get that in. So I'll start frying and softening.
See, I would have been, if I was doing that, I would have been tempted to put the garlic in with at the same time as the onions. You put in afterwards, is that right?
I've cut it quite small.
Yeah.
So I tend to just go in a little bit later.
Just so it doesn't dry out.
Burned, it can become quite bitter. So right, there's one bit. I left too chunky. Going in there. It does smell good, doesn't it?
It does.
That's it. Just keep that stirring. You don't have to spend ages. That needs to cook for a couple of minutes, just to sort of soften and maybe get a little bit of charring on the edges. And what we're going to start doing is bringing the other ingredients, the rice and the paprika, which is going to have a flavour. But what we need to do in a minute is add some boiling water. So fill the kettle up. You're going to need 800 mils of boiling water. Okay, that has already been boiled, so we should be doing okay. Right, it's sizzling quite nicely now. So we're going to add. I'm going to put 2 teaspoons, level teaspoons of paprika. It can be quite hot. This is just smoked paprika. Not too bad, but if you're sensitive to hot and spicy food, cut it back. Maybe start with half a teaspoon. You can always add more if you want. And if you like strong flavour, go straight to that. So you want to try and fry that off, because that just helps develop the flavour. And it's just smells really nice and smoky. If it starts to catch, and I mean burn to the pan, don't worry. Just chuck a little bit of water in, that's fine. You want to try and cook that off a little bit. So that's coated all the veg. What I'm going to do now is sprinkle in, I need to check my recipe, that's 225 grams of paella rice. We're using just long grain rice. They're different, the paella rice is slightly fatter, but you know, again, this dish is about using what we've got and making great flavour. So I'm just giving that a stir. So that's coating the rice with all that lovely paprika-y oil, and that's going to stop it sticking too much. It's quite nice to have a little bit of crust stuck to the bottom of the pan, gives it a bit of a flavour. But you know, you don't want a nightmare when you come to cleaning, so that's fine. So that's all well and truly coated. So I hate washing up. So rather than making the stock up in the jug, I'm just going to measure the water in the jug, and I'm going to crumble the stock cube in rather than having to make something dirty and having to be up. So as I said earlier, 800 mils of boiling water. That's going to go in. An encouraging sizzle. Right. See, now that jug can go on a drain board and back in the cupboard.
Genius.
No washing up. No, it's just lazy.
That's what we like.
Okay, so we've added other bits and pieces. Let me check. This is the bit you really, when you're cooking, always go back and check your list, because you don't want to get to the end of the day and realize you've not put something in. So I think we've got everything in. We're going to add our stock cube, which is here. So just crumble that over. Now this adds quite a bit of salt. So when we season it, it's always easy. Oh, that's hard. That's really tough. We'll get there. You can always add more. You can't take it out. So when it comes to the salt, go easy to start with. This is all going to concentrate down. We're going to lose a lot of this moisture. It's going to be, some's going to be absorbed by the rice. Others going to be just driven off as it's cooking. So stock's in, bit of black pepper. And just a little bit of salt. And as I say, we'll come back towards the end and we'll check that. And if we need to add more, we will. Right, that's that. We just want to cook that now for about 10 minutes. And the rice is going to absorb some of the moisture. So we're going to lose some. We'll come back. So we'll start making our dessert. So what I might do is just pop that over here out the way.
Mm-hmm. Let's swap it over.
And that's that. So we turn this off. What's the betting we're going to touch that? Right, let me get rid of this because it's got more chicken on. I'll quickly wash my hands. This is where you need to talk about holidays or something, right?
Talk about holidays. We could talk about the paella. So we've used chicken. What's quite popular is also, I guess, using prawns. You could substitute the chicken for
Absolutely.
prawns. Still put the chorizo in there, so it's exactly the same, but just prawns. Or
that'd be great.
other
Also,
white
if you like
fish.
seafood, you can buy mixed seafood bags
Yeah.
with mussels and all sorts of things like that. So that's great. It really is just about putting in whatever you like. I've got some suggestions down here. So we said prawns, chicken chorizo. Yeah, you can put diced pork in if you want.
Yeah.
All sorts of things.
Good
so
idea.
you really can just go
Yeah.
freestyle. I think the important things are it's the rice, it's the onion, it's the garlic, the paprika gives it the character, and then just put in whatever you fancy.
Perfect.
Right. Okay. So hopefully
So we're giving that 10 minutes.
we're going to give that 10 minutes. And
All
in the
right.
meantime, we'll start with dessert.
Fantastic.
So traditionally, fruit fall is whipped cream with sugar and fruit. But cream's really bad for you. So I've cut it back and we're adding custard, which has got less fat. So we're going old school. If you've got an electric whisk, that's great. But to be honest, it doesn't take that long. So I've got 150 grams of double cream. You can use whipping cream in a bowl. And you just got it. It's a little bit of a workout, but it's not much and it's not going to take long. And if you use an electric whisk, it's really easy to go too far and the turn is split. And what happens is it kind of goes all lovely and fluffy and then it comes out the other end. What you've got is hard fat and whey. So you're almost on your way to making butter. We don't want that because you're trying to make dessert. So you're just get in there with the elbow grease. I like to hold the bowl on a bit of an angle. It seems to be a bit easier for me. And just keep on flipping it. It's really, it's going to feel like a lifetime, obviously, when I'm talking to you, if I'm doing it. But you can start to see there's bubbles and it will thicken. So if you want to be really good, you can make this just with the custard and the cream. But we're going for 50-50 here, indulgent, but responsibly so. So that
Yeah, you can see it's starting to get a little thicker. Yeah.
Not that far away.
You haven't even broken sweat, Neil.
No,
That's impressive.
I did practice this. I was thinking, shall I just say? But to be honest, I'm so concerned that it's so easy to get that a little bit too far, and then you basically end up having to throw it away because you start to make butter.
Looking good.
So I reckon another minute, and we're going to be there. Oh,
Bubbling away.
Hot plate over there, that's good. This is a really quick dessert. I don't think it's going to take the 10 minutes you need for that. But we'll talk about something. Right, it really is thickening up now. So it's sticking to the side of the bowl, and that's it. As you can see, it's still got a little bit of slackness in it. I don't want to overdo it because as I whip the custard in, it's going to beat more air in. So the custard goes in, just pour it in. When I did this the first time, it kind of like scrambled eggs. It was pretty horrendous. Don't panic. Just
Keep whisking away. Is that the
whisking.
trick?
Yeah.
That's looking good. I can assure you that doesn't look like a scrambled egg this time.
No, this is much.
It's good.
That's it. I'll just get some. I had to do that. Isn't it? It's multitasking. Give that rice just a little stir. I'll turn the heat down because that really is ferocious. You just want nice gentle bubbles. So back to this. Should we confess about the tin opener? There was no tin opener here this afternoon, so Russ
was a struggle
to borrow one, and he came back with the world's worst tin opener and ended up cutting the top off with a knife, I think. So definitely don't do that at home. I don't even think that's safe for recycling, but
probably not.
So that's it. That's the cream and the custard. And I'm just gonna beat it in really nicely mixed. So this isn't a big, light, fluffy. It's quite, indulgent and dense, but it works well. So that's right. So that's really, really thickened up. Can you see?
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
So the fruit's a bit pulpy, but there's still some whole textured stuff there, which you want. Smells really nice and jammy. So this could be rhubarb, gooseberries. It's got a few of the black currants in my garden. I just chucked those in as I had them. I'm just again using the whisk just to beat it all together. Still a few ribbons of the custardy cream mix. So you want it nice and consistent. Now at this stage, you have a little taste, and you can add sugar if you want to. But for me, that's absolutely fine. So I'm not going to bother. Again, it's trying to be healthy.
Could you add sweetener with that, or is it?
If you can, but to be honest,
if you want it to be good, but
yeah, if you're going to have pudding, I'd go sugar.
All right.
Yeah. I'm not.
Gone all in.
I'm not anti sweetener, but I think if you're going to have pudding, should be about having a treat once in a while. So I borrowed these from my aunt. I thought they were very 1970s, but they're perfect. So nice shallow glass. You could use mugs, it doesn't matter. This recipe makes enough for, so just carefully spoon it in and divide it between, so don't do all of it, just put a couple of spoonfuls in each one and then divide it up fairly. But it couldn't be much easier, really. So once this is done and in the glass, you just pop it in the fridge for an hour or two, and that's it. Nearly there.
So we haven't got an hour or two. So when that goes in the fridge, and then I guess that'll come out looking set.
Yeah, it just burns up slightly, not massively, but so obviously use a spatula just to scrape that bowl out. It's all in the presentation. So this is a clean J cloth, not one that's got chicken on it. Just clean up the edge of the glass. And that's that. But I've got some mint from the garden and a few black currants just to garnish. Just, we can all treat ourselves and make it look a little bit fancy. Don't spend too much time, but
it's looking good.
Yeah, why not? I love having the herbs at home. I grow loads because it's just nice for you to wander out and grab them. You get lots of wildlife on it, but give it a wash.
Soon wash off.
There you go. That's it. Easy. That's our summer fruit food.
Brilliant. I'll
pop those in the fridge, and as I said, they'll be ready in an hour or two. So,
turn our attention back to the paella.
Yeah, let's bring this back. We did very well, not
setting fire to anything. Yeah, we did well. Being Lizzie's good books.
So you can see when I took that over to the other cooker, that was just a big sea of orangey water, and the rice was there. It's all started to absorb the rice. It's nowhere near cooked yet, but we're on our way. So now I'm going to start adding some more of the bits and pieces. Going to add our tomatoes. Actually, I think they probably should have gone in earlier to give them a bit longer. Again, this is pretty packed with veg, so it does make a good healthy dinner. So I'm now going to add the chicken. So the recipe says, I think, 300 grams, but Liz has really gone overboard, and I think you've got 600 grams of chicken. So this is going to be a really good hearty supper.
Leftovers always taste good. It's had a chance for all the flavors to soak into the meat and everything, and following day can be even better.
So just mixing that all in. Then what I want to do is just put the lid on, and we want that to cook. So now we've had that chicken, and obviously it's not cooked, it's only sealed. So that's going to need sort of 10 or 15 minutes to cook. So we want to keep that moisture in there now. So I'm just going to cover it and give that 5 minutes, and then we'll start adding the other ingredients. So this is where we now have to talk
about our holidays.
So, we can get the other ingredients ready.
Yeah. So we're not adding any more water. So it's got enough. All the liquid.
It's like anything. It depends on the type of rice you've got.
Yeah. How
big the pan is. The smaller the pan, the less surface area for the water to drip off. This one's a nice big pan.
Yeah.
So while it was over then, it was going quite fiercely. It drove off
a lot of moisture.
So if it starts to catch, you just need to keep an eye on it every now and again. And if you want to add a little bit more, it's absolutely fine to do that. Things are always a bit different. Yeah. It does depend on how hot your stove is and one thing like that. So the other ingredients that are going to go in are frozen peas, and then when we finish, we're going to garnish it with some lemon wedges. But that's optional. It's just a little bit more flavour to go in, just if you want to. And again, it makes you feel like you're being treated a bit better, I suppose. Like going out. Not that anyone is really going out at the moment, are they? I'm not.
Bits and bobs.
So that is slowly going to cook.
Bubbling away.
It is.
Yeah.
I have run out of things to talk about now.
Like all good food cookery programs, we didn't have one that we prepared earlier.
No, because this is going to be a lot of someone's dinner tonight. I don't know who's having this. We're out. So
Right. There you are going.
I am going back.
So having said that,
so, yeah. Unfortunately, there's 6 of us. It's probably not enough. So you can really take this home.
Fantastic instant dinner for us. It's great. We can always
just. I don't know. Can we do a panning? Because you can. Just
I can. I can actually. I know I said that I was the cameraman. I've done precious little camera work. Let's.
But it's just.
Let's get in there.
Just gently bubbling, and that's what you want. Yeah, you don't want it too fierce, but you can see it's just bubbling. And by keeping the lid on, you're keeping that heat in.
Yeah.
Just what you want. Just keeping it nice and gentle. We've used chicken thighs, and I think they're pretty much indestructible. Whereas if you did this recipe with breast, if you cook that really fiercely, I think that can become quite tough. Whereas the thighs just seem to really enjoy the long, quite harsh cooking, and they just become tender. So they're always my go-to. They're cheaper, they've got more flavour, and they're definitely much easier to cook with. Yeah. So
it's looking good.
It is. Yeah. I'm really tempted to put peas in.
By all means, put in the rest of the ingredients for the sake of the cooking demo, and then we can always warm it through properly.
So here's one little trick. I wanted to make sure. I've said on the recipe, cook for so the lid comes off for 5 minutes, then we add the peas and you put it back on for another 5 minutes, and the peas are frozen, so that kind of works out well. But what you want to do is make sure that the chicken is cooked. Now, I've got asbestos fingers, so don't try this at home. But if you cut the chicken you can tell it's cooked, and this isn't cooked, I can tell you. It's slightly pink and translucent, and the edges are white. So when you just want to make sure that it's all completely white and there's none of that slight pinkiness. And that's the crucial bit with this dish. You just want to make sure that your chicken is properly cooked. So that stuff at the bottom is probably had more heat and more likely to be cooked. So that's all coming together. The tomatoes are softening up nicely.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how many, I haven't actually worked out how many portions of veg you've got in this, but it's pretty good. So there you go. So this chicken, so you can see that it's a smaller bit, but it is white all the way through. So we know that bit's done. So that's the important bit before you serve. In any doubt, just put the lid on and give it a few more minutes. So that's beginning to
do nicely
as well. Yeah. So peas go in.
Good splash of colour.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And who doesn't like peas?
They're my favourite.
They're my favourite too.
Absolutely love them. So I've never done this with long grain rice. Actually, it's worked. I had read and just Googled everything, and they were saying, "Oh yeah, you can use it," and it's worked pretty well. I think the paella rice just probably is a bit more starchy.
Yeah.
So that's the peas in. The lid goes on just for 5 more minutes, and by that time, dinner's ready. So it really
Perfect.
is very, very simple, tasty. That's the one thing you want to do is just when it's done, check the chicken, and then finally check the taste, add a bit more salt and pepper if you need to. Mm-hmm. And that's it, and serve it up with your lemon wedges. So that's it. We've done really
good,
really quickly.
I think we have.
It's going to take a long time, but
we've done well.
Hopefully, give it a go and you'll enjoy it. Okay, take care.
Over to Liz.
Thank you for joining us for our second Summer Food Club. Thanks, Neil. That recipe looks absolutely yummy, and Russ for your cameraman skills. Join us next week, where Russ will be the other side of the camera, cooking one of our favourite family meals, summer chicken with fruit crumble. Thank you for joining us.